Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. My name is Councillor James Pasternak. I'm the Chair of North York Community Council. The clerk has confirmed that we have quorum. So I'd like to call meeting one to order. Welcome, everybody, and of course, Happy New Year. Today's meeting is being held with members of council and city staff participating both by video conference and in person at North York Civic Center in the council chamber. The North York Civic Center is open to the public, and anyone is welcome to attend the meeting in the council chamber today. The public may continue to participate electronically by video conference. The meeting is also being live streamed online at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. The clerk staff have connected remote public speakers to the meeting by video conference, and there are public speakers in the room with us today. The list of speakers can be viewed online by visiting the North York Community Council page at toronto.ca/council. And clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. I ask everyone for their patience with any delays and technical issues. Members, the city clerk has provided all the agenda materials on toronto.ca/council and on CMP, the clerk's meeting portal. Clerk's IT staff will be available for members in the chamber and remotely if you need help with your devices. As part of the agenda item, I'll ask members to raise their hand or unmute their mic when they're virtual, and if they wish to question staff or speak. I'll then create a speakers list and call members when it is their turn to speak. When voting on an item or motion, I ask that members ensure that they turn on their video and raise their hand to indicate their vote. Although we're in different locations and meeting remotely today, the committee would like to acknowledge that the land we're meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, Haudenosaunee, and Wendat peoples. Is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississauga of the Credit. We want to move things along today because of pretending unsettled weather conditions, and of course, we don't want to be entombed at North York Civic Center, and be known as the Shackletons. If we're entombed here, we will certainly see the ghost of Mel Lastman and be known as the Shackletons of our era. Are there any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Do you have? If you have an interest, please raise your hand. I do not see any. So why don't we run through the agenda? We have speakers on a few items. Yeah, so one administrative issue. The motion on the screen is confirming the minutes of the meeting held on November 29th, 2022. Councillor Carroll, you're moving. You don't need to speak on it. You move it. All those in favor? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. Now we can run through the agenda. Item 1 is 104-110 Bartley Drive, part lot control exemption application final report. We did. I mean, these things happen. Okay. All right. I think we're ready to start. Item 2.1, 699 Sheppard Avenue East, application to lift holding provision. Decision report approved. Just working out some administrative issues. Okay, off to a little bit of a shaky start here. Okay, 699 Sheppard Avenue East, application lift holding provisions. Counselor Burnside?
Actually, it's in my ward, so maybe you want me to move that. I'm really dying to move this motion.
Yes, Counselor Carroll, what would you like to do with 2.1?
I would like to adopt the recommendation with thanks to ECS for working so hard on this infrastructure project so we could lift this hold.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Carroll. Counselor Carroll is moving the staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2.2, 529, 543 Marlee Avenue. This
Can I
is
hold that, please? Councilor Cole?
Counselor Cole is holding the item. Item number 3, 2402 to 2418 Dufferin Street and 4.
Councilor Cole, I'd like to hold that.
Sheppard Avenue, 500 Sheppard Avenue East, official plan and zoning amendment application.
I move to accept the recommendations by staff.
Okay, Counselor Cheng, she's moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Keele Street at Victory U-turn Prohibition. I will move the staff recommendations, 2.5. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2.6, Yonge Street parking amendments. This is Counselor Cole.
Yes, I'll move approval.
Staff recommendations moved for item number 6, Yonge Street parking amendments. All those in favor? I saw one hand go up. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 7, 1408, 1420 Bayview Avenue, construction staging time extension. I believe this is Councillor Robinson.
Yes, it is. So I had some questions on that, but in interest of the time, I guess I would just say to staff that we'd like to ensure that when this building moves to the interior, that we lose this sidewalk and lane because it's very disruptive for whether you're a pedestrian, cyclist, or motorist. So I would move it, and also my understanding is they have another one coming up, and we don't want overlaps. So I would like staff to meet with the developer to figure out these issues. But today, given the interest of time and storms, I'll be moving that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, this is just approving a construction staging area time extension, I guess. So
Yeah, that's right. But it was only supposed to be 1 year, and now it's doubled. So it's not. It has a big impact on Bayview Avenue.
got it. Okay, thanks very much. Staff recommendations are being moved by Councillor Robinson. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 8, Bessarion Road parking amendment. Councillor Carroll.
Move the staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations moved on item 8, Bessarion Road parking amendment. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 9, Bryan Drive, turn prohibition. Councillor Carroll.
Yes, this is a correction of an earlier turn prohibition. I'd like to move the recommendations with a caution to my colleagues that when you're doing a turn prohibition to accommodate a school, give it a wide berth because you can put a perfectly painted sign on the road and then they change the bell time of said school. So it's a cautionary tale. Thank you.
Okay, got it. Okay, Councillor Carroll is moving the staff recommendations on item 9, Bryan Drive. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 10, Ruddington Drive parking amendment. Councillor Carroll.
Yes, move the staff recommendation.
Staff recommendations moved on number 10, Ruddington Drive. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Greenfield Avenue between Yonge Street and Doris Avenue, parking amendments, that is Counselor Cheng. Hold.
Hold, please. Yep.
Senlac, item 12, Senlac Avenue south of York Cemetery, just down the street from here. Funeral center access, pedestrian crossing protection. Counselor Cheng.
Hold, please.
Number 13, 295 Woburn Avenue, application to remove a private tree. Counselor Cole.
Let me hold that, just got to read an email about it.
Number 14, 15, 14, 15, and 16. We have speakers. So I'll hold all three of those, 14, 15, and 16. Number 17, appointments to Business Improvement Area Boards of Management, Counselor Cole and Counselor Robinson.
I'm happy to move that.
Counselor Robinson is moving these appointments. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item 18, 2 Shady Oaks Crescent, request for city solicitor to attend Toronto local appeal body. Counselor Robinson?
Yes, I actually advised the clerk we're withdrawing that motion,
Okay.
and all parties are in agreement.
Great.
So there is a motion to withdraw.
Put a motion on the screen to withdraw this item. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 19, amendment to North York 33, 36 traffic calming, Ranee Avenue. This is Counselor Cole.
This is just to add the
it's new
expand
business.
the study, just to
Okay,
make the changes.
so we need a motion to add this to the agenda. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried, so that is added. I don't know if we could deal with it now, or you want to circulate it, or what do you want to do?
Which, the Ranee Avenue?
Yeah, we can move it now.
Yeah, we can move it. Now, all it is a adjustment of one block to the study area.
Okay. So, number 19, amendment to North York 3336 traffic calming. New item has been circulated. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And new item, we need a motion to add number 20, recipient of the 2023 Agnes Macphail Award.
I'd like to do that.
We're adding a new item, item 20, recipient of the 2023 Agnes Macphail Award. And Counselor Robinson is moving it. The first vote is all those in favor of adding it to the agenda? Opposed? That is carried, that is added. Counselor Robinson, did you want to hold that item and speak to it later, or did you want to?
No, I'd like to move it right now. Yeah. So if I could just quickly say I've got a motion to this North York Community Council approving Shaklow as the recipient of the 2023 Agnes Macphail Award. This is really exciting for Thorncliffe Park. And she's been such a prominent community member and leader. And it's a very exciting. So congratulations to Shaklow. And if we could now move the item.
Okay, we're going to move the item. Congratulations to the recipient, Shaklow.
She's a legend, Mr. Chair. No one in this room is going to disagree with this.
No, I don't think there'll be any.
Yeah, she is amazing.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any problem with this award. So all those in favor? We'll just say that's unanimous. And congratulations to Shaklow for her great community work. All right, we're going back up to the top of the agenda. There's no more new items to add. We're good? Good to go. Counselor Cole, you held item 2.2, 529 to 543 Marlee Avenue. Questions for staff?
Yes, I just wondering if we could put the map of the location up on the board, because my questions talk about where the location of this application is. Marlee and Glencairn Avenue, the southeast corner.
Okay, the map is on the screen. Counselor Counselor
Can
Cole.
you just enlarge it a bit, please? Okay, that's good. Okay. I was wondering, is there a map that shows the subway station there? I don't know. There isn't. Can we get a Google map of it then?
You can sort of see the subway station.
You can't see it.
You know where it is.
Yeah, but the public doesn't know where it is. Okay, so while staff, maybe I'll just get moving on it, while staff is bringing up the Google map of the location. Yeah, I'm going to questions of staff. Can you see the station marked there? Can I see it? Where is it on the map? I can't see it. That right there? Yeah, okay, that's good. That's very helpful. So this question of staff, the reason I'm bringing this up is this application calls for 28 stories, right? And the applicant has gone to Ontario Land Tribunal, as they all are now. And the applicant is saying that our present policies are not in line with the new provincial guidelines about development near subway stations. So why are we opposing it if this application abides by the new provincial policy that any development application within 500 meters of a subway station should call for greater density, greater number of units? So why are we opposed to it?
So through the chair, it's David Sitt. I'm the Director of Community Planning for North York. Councillor, I think to first try to answer your question, I would just want to reiterate that we are under litigation right now. So my answer to you in this forum, I will be somewhat careful with my words, given that we are under litigation. But I think to answer your question, the work is still being undertaken in terms of implementing those policies of the growth plan. As you know, last year we were directed to take a look at this area through a study, which we are embarking upon for the Glencairn station. And so part of that work will help to inform our decision making going forward.
As you know, this is, I guess, next to Chester Station, the least used subway station in Toronto. Glencairn Station, it's like another Bessarion, in fact. It might be a few more bodies than ever frequent Bessarion Station. So the applicant basically came up with the proposal. And why did the applicant go to the Ontario Land Tribunal? What was the rationale there? If you could just make that clear for the people out there.
So through the chair, I don't want to necessarily speculate on their reasons, but certainly under the Planning Act, there is the ability for an applicant to appeal a matter to the Ontario Land Tribunal within a certain period of time if the city has not made a decision. So in a lot of cases, these applications do get appealed because of simply the time frame, but they also obviously have other planning reasons where they think that their application is supportable.
So within, and I guess the time frame is 90 days, right? If we don't respond within the 90-day period, they can go to the Ontario Land Tribunal, right?
So through the chair, it depends on the type of application that is before the city. In this situation, we have both an official plan amendment and a zoning bylaw amendment. So the time there is 120 days, but if we have not made a decision within that time frame, you are correct. They have the ability to appeal.
Okay, so when the appeal was made to the Ontario Land Tribunal, were people in the local community notified that this has been appealed to the Ontario Land Tribunal?
So through the chair, typically what will happen if a matter gets appealed, the people that are within the immediate area, usually 120 meters of the site, would be notified of that because they would have been notified at the time of when the city had the community meeting. And as part of our process, they have the ability to sign up as an interested party to the proceedings where they would then be notified of any OLT matters going forward. Or even if we were considering a decision, they would be notified of that as well.
So the people in the notification area, which we've usually, I think in this one we did 500 meters, so they would have gotten a notification that it's been appealed by the applicant to Ontario Land Tribunal, though they should have gotten a notice from the city?
So they wouldn't have received it from the city, but what will happen is when the OLT starts to schedule its proceedings, the OLT will have a list of those people that have expressed an interest to the matter. So it will be the OLT that will send out that notice.
We're not aware of any notices going out.
So you're saying that residents are not aware of it?
Right.
That, I think, is a matter that we would have to look into. I know that for any of the proceedings to date on that site, we do receive through the clerk's office the notification from the OLT when the OLT proceedings are scheduled.
Okay, anyways, we'll try and verify that, but again, we've had no residents that we know of said they've even been
Councillor
notified.
Cole, I don't want to interrupt this conversation, but you're over 7 minutes,
Okay.
and you've used up your time for next term as well. So I'm wondering if we could cut it
Okay.
off at that.
Anyways, that's fine, because I'm just going to continue on with the same questioning as we get to the next item that I'm holding. Okay, that's fine.
All
Thank
right,
you, staff.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other questions for staff on the item? No? Speakers?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I want to thank staff for trying to clarify a very complex issue here. This site here, if you could put the site up again. I wish we had a real live Google map view of the area. I think I've asked this for last term, the same thing. We need to get real life videos, photos of areas that are under development for the public to see. And it's important in this location because this is essentially a single-family home area, Marlee and just south of Lawrence at Glencairn. And there's single detached homes for the most part. There's strip plazas on Marlee. This development site is known as the Li Cheng Plaza, where there was a very good Chinese restaurant there that disappeared. But anyways, so this is a designated, I think, neighborhood. Staff can correct me on this. So it's not used to this type of development application. And this is quite out of the norm. You know, generally on Marlee, there are 2 3-story buildings, some low-rise apartments. Further down Marlee, though, there are higher buildings. That's near Roselawn. So the people in this area here are quite surprised that all of a sudden somebody's come in with a, I can't keep track of the numbers, but I think it's 27 stories, right?
Through the chair, it's 28 stories.
28 stories. So they're really upset, and they're saying, how can we the city allow 28 stories? And so we're in the process of trying to inform the public that there's new provincial policies in Bills 109, 108, Bill 23, bills that the public has no idea what the content of these bills are, but basically the developers are following their provincial lead here and asking for high density at and around subway stations. And this, as I said before, this is like another Bessarion 2 here. Very few people ever use Glencairn. It's all single-family homes. So the applications are now coming in because the new provincial policy basically saying anything within 500 to 800 meters of a subway station, this is suitable for high density and for multiple unit dwellings. So, and so that's what the applications are. And now on Marlee Avenue, we're building another 10, 11 story across the street, the southwest corner. And then we have 40 stories and applications coming up at Lawrence. And we have a number coming in at a couple more at 10. But anyways, the street is alive with development interest, which is wonderful to see. But the public has no idea that the provincial policies have changed. And these developments are now regularly, they don't even wait for full city participation. They go to the Ontario Land Tribunal, like this one here is at the Ontario Land Tribunal, as our general manager of planning here in North District said, it's at the tribunal, which is basically a legal tribunal. And the other thing that has changed too with Bill 23, the local residents no longer have standing at the tribunal. So before a ratepayer group could have standing, and I'm not sure what the rules are because there was talk of changing that, and maybe our general manager can clarify that later. So this issue will be decided at the Ontario Land Tribunal, and only the applicant, the City of Toronto, will be there, and the local residents have really no standing, and I think they have to pay $1,400 if they want to speak. But again, it's hard to keep track of all the changes. The Ontario Land Tribunal, called the Kremlin of planning, that's basically deciding how planning decisions are made at the Toronto. So before us, we have basically a direction to send city staff to the tribunal to represent the city that opposes this, and I think it's the only recourse we have. Things are moving so fast, so we have to send our planners and lawyers to the tribunal to ensure the city's interests and the residents' interests are protected, especially in this case here when the residents won't have an opportunity to speak. So with all that complication, I do support the staff recommendation that we attend the Ontario Land Tribunal with our staff. to oppose this application and continue to examine ways of dealing with these massive changes that are happening in planning in our city, and trying to basically let the people of these communities know what these changes are. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other speakers on the item? No more speakers on the item. Councillor Cole has moved the staff recommendations on Marlee Avenue and Glencairn. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item 2.3, 2402, 2418 Dufferin, and 4 to 10 Ramsden. Councillor Cole, you also held that item. Questions for staff?
Okay, can I see the map, please? Again, I better start asking questions. Yes, again, this is a similar type application where there's a new subway station now to open maybe in the next 5 years at the corner of Dufferin and Eglinton on the Eglinton crosstown. The Sagrada Familia of Toronto, I don't know if you know the church in Barcelona, but one day the crosstown will be finished. There'll be a station here. And so applications are now coming in. So the question I have of staff is this within the 500 meters of the long-awaited Fairbank station?
Sorry, through the chair. Based on what I can see from the map, I would agree that it is within the 500 meters.
And so what's the height of the proposed developments here?
Through the chair, there's two different heights. One part of the site has a 9-story building that is at 30 meters, and then the other portion of the site that is closest to Dufferin is at 24 stories and 76 meters.
Okay, and how many units in total?
Through the chair, the number of units, just bear with me, how much? Through the chair, the number of units being proposed are 405 units.
So in this case here, when did the developer go to the Ontario Land Tribunal?
So through the chair, I don't have that specific date of when they have appealed it, but they made their application in November 2021. And so if we play it forward in terms of 120 days, then they would be in a position to appeal after the 120 days.
Right, and I think this is, again, the zoning right now is what, neighborhoods, mixed use?
A combination of both. Part of the site where the 9-story building is where is the neighborhoods designation, and the portion that's the 24-story building is on a mixed-use area designation. And I should stand corrected that the applicant did appeal the application in August of 2022, so that's when they appealed it.
Yes, and again, this is an area that's never, well, I guess I'm just trying to figure in my mind, keeping track. There are no high-rises here, towers, right now in the Dufferin-Eglinton area, right? Well, there is the Doug Saunders building to the south. It's been there for a while. I think it's about 20 stories. But basically, in this immediate neighborhood, there are no places of any kind of density, really. It's all single-family homes, strip malls.
So through the chair, again, given that we are in litigation right now, I will be careful with what I say here, but I would say the area has been changing. There are examples of other tall buildings south of Eglinton, as well as proposals that we have been seeing on the north side of Eglinton and Dufferin.
Yes, that we've got, I know, in Councillor Matlow's side of Eglinton, there's a 40-story application that's, I think, been approved, if I'm not mistaken. And we agreed with that, did we not? The city did not oppose that 40-story development, just 2 blocks south.
Yeah, so through the chair, I would agree. My understanding is that that has been approved.
So if this applicant is coming in at 23 and 9 here, why would we oppose it? Again, I don't know if I'm supposed to ask these things. We're in court all the time with these things.
Yeah, so certainly through the chair, I'd be happy to answer your questions perhaps offline, but we did detail some of the reasons in the report.
Yes, okay, so anyway, so the applicant is at the Ontario Land Tribunal. Again, we're trying to verify whether the Ontario Land Tribunal notified anybody that this matter is in their hands. I'm not sure. We'll do some more checking, but as far as our office is known, none of the residents are aware that this has taken place. And trying to deal with that with another motion I had at council to notify people about this new process.
Councillor Cole, you're
Okay.
past 5 minutes.
Okay, well, that's fine. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, speakers? Councillor Cole?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is a similar example of what happened at Ranee, where, the applicant basically is following the new provincial guidelines with major transit station study areas, with bills 109, 23, et cetera, et cetera. So they are at the Ontario Land Tribunal, and this is, again, going to be within walking distance of a new subway entrance there at Dufferin and Eglinton called the Fairbank Station. So the question is, why are we opposing it, given the city just approved a 40-story just to the south? And so I think the only rationale I can think of supporting here that we're opposing it is because
There's only one person.
it's the only way the city
It's not a-
would be able to represent the residents at the hearing, given that the residents no longer have standing at the Ontario Land Tribunal. And so at least the city will speak on behalf of the residents, along with city planners, city lawyers. And the city's trying to catch up with all the rapid fire changes to planning in the city, especially around major transit station areas. And so
Just-
this,
just pick your words carefully because it is subject to litigation.
yes, and I just, the question is when can councilors or when can the public ever speak to these issues? When there are no public meetings, everything is done at the tribunal. So I don't know what role we play if we can't ask any questions. And this is one way of shutting down public debate, I guess, even by going to the tribunal, so nobody can say anything or ask questions about this whole application process. But anyways, that's another technical issue which hard to keep up with. So anyways, here's again a situation where, yes, we have probably 10, 15 development applications in the pipeline in this area between my area to the north of Eglinton and Councillor Matlow's. And the developers are all coming in. We had a study area, I think it was a Dufferin study area done about 7 or 8 years ago, which called for mid-rise, 18 stories, but now that study area is pretty, my rabbi just called me. Anyways, I just want to say that,
I didn't know you had a rabbi. Okay.
but anyways,
Are we on? Yeah.
I just that this is a very complex matter before the tribunal. The city staff is trying to do their best to keep up with these. Be away.
He does have another minute and a half. So, Councillor Cole,
Yeah, unfortunately, this is the only opportunity I, as a counselor, have to speak
I'm not trying to give you a hard
to
time.
this incredibly important development in the Dufferin-Eglinton area, and if I can't speak here, where can I speak? So, okay, that's, I'll move approval of staff report.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cole. No, I didn't mean to rush you, but your phone was ringing. I know there's a lot of things going on. Did anyone else want to speak on this item? No? So, Councillor Cole has moved staff recommendations. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you very much. That carries. Number 11, Councillor Cheng, Greenfield Avenue between Yonge Street and Doris Avenue parking amendments. You held the item.
Yes, I just have one question and,
Okay, so questions for staff?
yeah, so thank you. I know that, the staff have engaged the school and this is something the school is on board with. I just wanted to know, is there a provision for field trips? Because now there won't be a bus loading zone and we know it's an art school and they will definitely have buses that will need to take students to performances. So I just wanted to know if that is something that was discussed and is there a plan for that?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, Sean Dillon here. So I don't think it was specifically discussed, but typically those loading times would be different from the student pickup and drop-off times. And so the parking lay-by would be available to those buses during those times when students are not being picked up and dropped off from school.
Okay, great. As long as there's a provision for field trips, I'm good to go with staff recommendations.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cheng. Any other questions for staff? Speakers? No? Okay. Well, Councillor Cheng.
I move to go with staff recommendation.
Okay, great. So we do have a short speech there. Councillor Cheng has moved staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 12, Senlac south of York Cemetery Funeral Center access pedestrian crossing protection, also held by Councillor Cheng.
Yes, I just have a couple of questions for staff.
Questions for staff?
I read that that transportation recommended this, and I'm just wondering what kind of community feedback was provided that compelled this installation or proposed installation.
Thanks for the question, and through the chair. Yeah, the public consultation or discussion would typically be done through the local councillor's office. So I can't really speak to what may have happened with the former councillor. I can say that staff reviewed this at the councillor's request, and when we looked at it, really the compelling reason we found for needing pedestrian crossing protection at this location was the significant distance between controlled crossing points. Almost 500 meters is the gap here between controlled crossing points, and so something in the middle that provides access to vulnerable road users that need to cross the road at this point to get from one side of the cemetery to the other, or to access transit on Senlac, we felt was important, and therefore we supported the installation here.
Great, thank you so much, and I'm good with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cheng. Any other questions for staff? Speakers?
I move to go with staff recommendations.
Okay. Councillor Cheng is moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 13, 295 Woburn Avenue, application to remove a private tree. I don't see any deputants listed on this item, but Councillor Cole held it. It's 295 Woburn.
Yeah, okay, I'm just going to move deferral until May 1st for the May meeting, Councillor. The applicant is out of town. Okay.
Okay, but to May.
Yeah.
Okay, so Councillor Cole has moved deferral of this item to the May Community Council meeting. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 14, we have a deputant. This is 31 Norden Crescent, application to remove a private tree. John Zanetti. Mr. Zanetti, thank you very much. You have 5 minutes.
Good morning, council members. Thank you very much for hearing my application. My name is John Zanetti. I live at 31 Norden Crescent. As you'll see from the application, I'm here to request your permission to remove an existing walnut tree in our backyard. Before proceeding, I want to say that it's not an easy request for us. We appreciate the tree, but as part of our desire to have a pool, we have to have it removed. You'll see from the application that the tree rests squarely in the middle of the yard, and there's simply no way to install a pool with the tree there. The main reason we want the pool is so that our young girls and their friends in the neighborhood can learn to swim and enjoy their summers better. We have 2 young girls, one is 3, one is 9. They're friends with 2 other sets of girls from across the street, and the 6 of them are always playing together. Right now, there's only one other home on the street with a pool, and that is, I think, an older couple without kids, and they don't really have the ability to have the kids over to swim there. And there are no other pools within walking distance of our neighborhood that allow our kids to go there. So, we want them to enjoy their summers. Swimming is a great way to exercise and socialize and be outdoors and stay in your community. We think it's a great benefit, and we're really hoping that the pool becomes a center for our neighborhood and our neighbors and their kids to spend their summer. I also want to note that none of our neighbors object to the tree removal. Nobody's objecting to it. We're in an older part of the city where there are still many trees, and there's still going to remain a very healthy canopy of trees in the city, even if this one tree is removed, in our neighborhood, even if there's one tree removed. I also want to agree that I agree with Director Bostock from Urban Forestry that it's important to make up for lost trees and to keep the city's canopy of trees, and the goal of 40% coverage by 2050 is a good one. I think that our goal with the application to remove this tree is not inconsistent to that. We're not actually asking to reduce the amount of trees in the city. In fact, if you're kind enough to grant our recommendation, we're okay with the director's suggestion of 5 replacement trees. Our tree planting plan from the arborist called for 2 trees, but we're perfectly fine to support the planting of 5 trees, whether it's 2 on our site as per the tree planting plan, or cash in lieu so that 3 more trees can be planted elsewhere in the city. So if our permit is approved, what we end up with is 5 trees instead of a single walnut tree. And if the goal for 2050 is greater coverage, by the time 2050 comes around, we'll have 5 mature 27-year-old trees instead of the single walnut tree. So I think that with that approach, we can have our pool, we can have it for the kids, we can have it in our neighborhood, and we can also have more trees in the city to replace the trees that fell by the storm and to move towards that goal of 40% coverage by 2050. If you're so kind, we'd request that you approve that for us. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the deputant? Councillor Carroll.
I do have questions because we have the photograph provided of the tree, and I'm reluctant to remove trees, and that's not a secret. People know that council does its best to protect the tree canopy, but in this particular case, I'm also kind of stymied. Looking at the photograph that you want to remove it because you want to construct a pool, but I'm having trouble imagining a pool there that will actually have a fully enclosed fenced pool that meets our pool fence bylaw. So I'm wondering if you've gone to the planning stages of that yet and figured out how you're going to meet our other bylaw, which stops kids from being drowned.
Yes, the pool company we've hired has looked into that, and our pool plans that have been prepared do comply with the city's rules for fencing. We've gone through that process. They are able to put the fences that are required, and of course, that would be something we'd have to comply with to get our pool installed anyway. So the intent is, and the ability is there to get the fences in required to have the pool meet the bylaws. It's just that the tree is directly in the middle of the lot. So when we're going to be taking down the deck, moving that back, and that'll allow us room to put in the fence required by the city for the safety on the pool. There's no way we'd install a pool without the safety.
We're not going to be saying welcome back one day when you come back and tell us that that fence around the deck is the pool fence. There's an actual independent pool fence.
Yes, they've planned that out in our plans.
Okay, those are my questions, Mr. Chair. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Any other questions for the deputant? No? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you
Is there
very much.
anyone else here or online to depute to this item? I do not have any other names listed. I do not think so. Questions for staff? Speakers? Councillor Burnside, and then Councillor Carroll.
Yes, so I do have a motion. No worries. It's pretty short, so I can read it, which is to grant the request for a permit to remove a privately owned tree located at 31 Norden Crescent. We can all see by the pictures, the tree is right in the middle of the yard, and to me, fundamentally, it's a question of property owners' rights. Yes, you're a citizen of Toronto, but the alternative is to plant 5 other trees or to fund the planting of 5 trees, which I think meets the goals that the city is trying to achieve by 2050. And also allows a property owner to have some sort of rights over their property. So I'm hoping I can get support for that, although I know when it comes to trees, everyone's opinion is pretty much ensconced, but we'll see how this goes.
Councillor Carroll.
Yes, well, Mr. Chair, I'm going to be voting against the recommendation to grant the approval. So I also have to put what I have to do is give myself something to vote for. So I have to put the staff recommendation to deny the request on the table. So I'm moving that. And I'll tell you why, with respect, I really don't see the tree canopy deadline quite the same way the applicant does. Yes, we have a deadline and we want a certain number of trees by 2050, but we're also feeling the effects of our tree loss since Emerald Ash Borer right now. It's already impacting the heat effect in the city. And so it's a matter of having some mature trees while all these replacement trees are growing. And so, that's part of the reason why I want to support staff on this. But it's also because when we set the tree bylaw, we knew that some trees are in places where it means, if there's a tree here, there are other things you can't do. And this is a case where the applicant wants to put a pool, but in a relatively small backyard. And that's a tough break to find out that there isn't any room for both a tree and a pool in this backyard. But this is why I always recommend in my own ward, if people say they have big plans for their property, if we're lucky enough, they tell us before they start. Because when they do, I always tell them, Council has a long-standing policy about protecting its tree canopy, because dating all the way back to the Asian longhorn beetle, we've been in trouble. And you could go even further back to that when, without the wisdom of knowing that a tree canopy doesn't just renew itself, we pretty much clear-cut all of the Argus properties and then started building this place called North York. And so we've been trying to recover from that ever since. That's well known. What is also well known is that councillors don't want to be responsible for kids drowning in their own pools. And so we have the pool fence bylaw. And if you know those things going in before you even start to renovate a house, or enlarge the footprint of a house, you can really think out the property. And so I love it when people come first to say, I'm thinking of making big changes on my property. What do you think? Then we get to make sure that they and their contractors and their architects are acting responsibly based on what they know to be the city's policies. But it unfortunately does not look like that's the case here. That deck is already in place, shrinking the options and spaces for the pool, and that's something that I really wish contractors and architects would notify homeowners of before they get started on these things. But I have to support staff here and deny the request. This is a beautiful tree.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Any other speakers on the item other than me? No. I will definitely stay within the 5 minutes. So I'm going to be supporting the local councillor. I'm going to be supporting the removal of this tree. I think the way we have to look at it is we're not removing one tree, we're planting 5 new trees, which presents a great opportunity, not only for the homeowner and the neighborhood, but of course expanding our tree canopy. The future building of a pool or other structure in the backyard is conjecture and hypothetical. We are not architects, and we don't know the dimensions of his backyard, and we can't predict what size of pool he's going to put in. I've seen current wave pools, I've seen hot tubs, I've seen mini pools and kidney-shaped pools, and I've seen a larger pool. So we have no idea what his plans are, so we cannot predict and say no to the tree removal based on the hypothetical of what size of pool he will be putting in there, if he ever does put in a pool, and whether it will conform. I can only hope that it will. But at the end of the day, the request is made. I'm a firm believer in planting more trees is what we need, and certainly preserving the property owner's wishes and rights to build, to enhance his property and enhance the neighborhood. So I will be supporting the local councillor and the approval to remove. Thank you. Any other speakers on the item? No? Okay. So we can, yes, so we'll put Councillor Burnside's motion on the screen, grant the request for a permit to remove privately owned tree located at 31 Norden Crescent.
And record a vote, please.
We have to record this, yes. So all those in favor? Councillor Burnside, Councillor Cheng, Councillor Cole, and Councillor Pasternak. Opposed? Councillor Carroll. That carries.
No, I'm also opposed.
Oh, sorry, and Councillor Robinson.
Councillor Robinson opposed?
Yeah, I do apologize. I didn't see you on the screen there.
That's okay. Yeah.
Okay, so that carries. Yes, Councillor Carroll's motion is redundant. Item 15, 20 Pinemore Crescent, application to remove a private tree. Ryan Ladisa. Yeah, okay. Oh, yes.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Ladisa?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thanks for
my
joining.
na-
You have 5 minutes. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Sorry for the disruption on my end. My name is Ryan Ladisa. I'm a son of, I believe my father, Carlo Ladisa, is in physical attendance there with you. I am helping him represent his primary residence of 20 Pinemore Crescent. And I've taken some pictures and sent you the presentation, but if you want to pull that up, if you have an opportunity, I can kind of talk through the situation in the meantime. There's a very large oak tree that is in the middle of it's encroaching on my father's driveway at 20 Pinemore Crescent. The tree was planted, at the start of the development of the property in the 60s. I'm not sure exactly when, but let's call it 1967. It was planted close to a shared driveway that 18 and 20 Pinemore Crescent share as a common use of passage to their respective garages in their semi-detached homes. There is an easement on the property that's approximately now 5 feet away from the other side of the driveway, the side that's closest to 22 Pinemore, the neighboring house, and about 5 feet away from this now very mature, very large tree. And so what's happening is the easement presents a throughway in favor of 18 Pinemore, the neighboring semi-detached house. And this property owner feels that they have full right to use their own driveway to the maximum capacity of its allowance. And so what's happening is they believe that they can park 3 cars in tandem. They should be able to open their full doors of their work truck in that position, and it doesn't allow for 20 Pinemore Crescent to do the same thing. And now, in fact, they can't even drive their car in. My father can't drive his car in his driveway to get to his garage, and he definitely can't leave his car in his parking spot and have full access to his driveway. This has been going on now. There's been a number of disputes that have been going on for 5 to 7 years now. The tree has also eroded the main sewage line to my father's residence of 20 Pinemore Crescent. He had to spend thousands of dollars this year to excavate the main sewage line and repair it to undo the damage that the tree has caused. And in fact, he couldn't move further with that work to replace all of the piping from clay to more modern piping all the way to the street, because it's shared in a Y that goes over this mutual driveway area between 18 and 20 Pinemore Crescent. So the last thing that I would like to say on this matter is that the owner of 18 Pinemore Crescent has been incredibly verbally abusive, swearing at my father repeatedly, at my mother-in-law, Angela Ladisa. He's been super combative. He's scratched my father's vehicles, and the police have had to be called numerous times to control the situation.
Just a word of caution. If it's under police investigation or litigation, appreciate you keep your comments. You're very cautious with your comments.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not under police, negotiation or a police investigation, rather. But it's important for me to get an understanding from council here that, this is causing undue stress on my 5-year-old father and similar aged stepmother because of the combativeness of this situation where the owner of 18 Pinemore Crescent feels that they have full right to use their driveway. There's an impeding easement on the driveway that no longer allows passage to my father's garage.
I'm sorry. You're well over 5 minutes. Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the deputant? No? Okay. Thank you very much, Ryan. Carlo? Mr. Ladisa? Yeah, thank you very much for coming. You have 5 minutes.
Thanks for hearing me out. The only thing that I have to say is that I'm just under $25,000 in the hole to do with this tree, and I'm still nowhere. Now, if the planning department and the inspectors did the job properly, instead of doing the driveway the proper way, they went around the tree. And this is where it lays, that I've only got about 5 feet of the 20 feet that's supposed to be between the two homes that I can use, and I can't cut the car in half to go into my driveway. And my neighbor is really abusive, and I think he's a little bit gone upstairs because he thinks he owns the whole block, never mind my driveway and his driveway. That's all I have to say. Now, if I could get a permit to remove the tree, maybe I could widen my driveway and spend some more money and do the proper job right now, instead of what they did, what the builder did way back in '59. That's all I have to say, Council. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions of the speaker? Deputant? Okay, thank you, sir. Councillor Carroll, questions of staff?
I do. Thank you for your comments, but the questions I want to ask are of staff. This is a tricky one, because I note in the report, and you've provided pictures as well, that part of the issue that has made this a difficult property for neighbors to get along is the angling of the semi-detached home doesn't really align with the actual property lines. Is that the case, or were those pictures provided that way from the applicant?
Through the chair, no, I think that's correct. The photo that we included in our staff report is an aerial from iView, which is a commonly used city resource that's available internally and externally. It indicates the property lines. It's not surveyor accurate, but it's accurate for the purposes of conversation to within, say, 10, 20, 30 centimeters. So I think it's an accurate portrayal, and what you can see is that the line that indicates the property boundary does not match where the middle of the driveway, the private part of the driveway, would be.
Right. So what happens when you have a situation like that? The way the house was built, would there have been some sort of way of making the way the driveway is divided up, it would be legal non-conforming or something? The way they've divided the driveway in half, but not on property lines, to give each homeowner some driveway, but one is encroaching the other. Was there anything put in place there to protect that in policy?
Through the chair, forestry doesn't have the resources to answer that, and that might be a question that other departments, whether it's legal or zoning examiners, might have better information on. There was mention of an easement in the deputant's comments, and to our knowledge, there is no actual easement here. An easement would allow one owner access over another owner's property. We don't, to our knowledge, that doesn't exist here, and we would like, it would be great if something like that could be explored, but again, that's, it's not forestry's place to facilitate that discussion. Our emphasis is on the tree, and the reason for the request, and the bylaw and the specific provisions in the bylaw don't support the removal.
Right, and the easement problem and the problems, opening car doors on driveways, and that isn't necessarily solved. The other thing that you perhaps could help us with, Mr. Bostock, is from the look of the aerial photo, I don't have the measurements, but what we heard is that the applicant's proposed solution is to cut down this tree and then widen the driveway to one side. But it seems to me that given the property lines, moving the driveway over that way, it looks like it would require an added curb cut. It also looks like you could, there is some question as to whether or not, according to city's policy, they'd be leaving enough landscaped area on their front yard. We just have a very wide driveway at that point, and no foliage and a minimal amount of landscaped area if we use that solution. Does that contravene any other policies? Is that a problem?
Through the chair, I can only do back of the envelope sort of assessment here, but I don't believe that there needs to be an entire second driveway built beside the existing driveway. I believe extending the existing edge of the driveway far enough away from the actual property line to allow the passage of a vehicle would represent a moderate loss of the soft landscape in the front yard. And I would not think that that would cross any soft landscaping zoning requirements. But
You
you know,
just
we
have
would
to
want
submit a plan that shows that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Carroll. Any other questions for staff? Speakers?
I have a motion.
Okay, Councillor Burnside has a motion. It's on the screen. Councillor Burnside is moving to permit the removal of the private-owned tree located at 20 Pinemore Crescent.
And I'll be very brief. As much as I hate to see the removal of a healthy tree, this is a bit of a sticky situation. And once again, given the fact that we have provisions for tree replacement, I will be supporting. Obviously, I put this motion forward as the alternative.
Thank you, Councillor Burnside. Councillor Carroll.
Well, Mr. Chair, again, I at this time, and I don't want to stress at this time, I would be inclined to vote against that motion. And so I'm going to give myself something to vote for, I'm going to have to put denial on the table, and I'll tell you why. My problem is I don't know that this is going to solve the problem between neighbors, and we don't have a plan before us for what we're removing this tree for. And, you know, similar to the deputant before, show us the plan. Show us there's no other way. And actually show us how you're going to accommodate all of our other associated policies in this case. We don't know if we're going to end up having someone requesting a curb cut. We don't know how much landscape area there's going to be there. I'd be happy to revisit this, but at this point, I don't see that removing the tree solves everything. I'm kind of shocked that there isn't some sort of easement agreement, given the house was knowingly built, not along property lines, was sort of a recipe for neighbors to not get along from the get-go. But those things need to be resolved legally and in policy, and we need to see that proposal. And if removing the tree is part of it, I'd have a greater comfort level then. But at the moment, we're just removing a tree. This driveway could be repaved, and we don't know that we've solved anything other than just removing a really big, healthy tree. So I'm moving the staff recommendations, and the applicants are back with a real plan that does create happy families. I'm prepared to look at it.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Anyone want to speak other than me? So this may surprise some, but I will not be supporting the removal of this tree, so I will be supporting Councillor Carroll's motion. I think she's moving staff recommendations to deny the appeal. I think the justification for this is on the weaker side, and this is, in fact, a wonderful tree that is really the ground zero in the dispute between neighbors. When I decide on these things, I look at the tree itself, I look at tree replacement, but I also look at compelling reasons for removal, whether it's personal safety or rights to private property. And I just, and some kind of vision for what people want to do. I don't think expanding a driveway is, the picture they've supplied here, and I'm not looking at my text messages, I am looking at the staff report. What they've supplied here shows these vehicles on a driveway. I assume these vehicles can get on and off the driveway as is. Fair enough, there's some navigating to do. So I will support the staff recommendations and deny the request.
Could I, it's Councillor Robinson, could I ask for a recorded vote, please?
Yes. Yes, no problem. Okay, any other speakers on the item? No? Okay. We'll go with Councillor Burnside's motion first. This is to permit the removal of the tree. All those in favor? Councillor Cole, Councillor Burnside. And that is it. Opposed? Councillor Carroll, Councillor Cheng, Councillor Robinson, and Councillor Pasternak. That carries. That loses. That means the default, the tree stays. Well, you're moving staff recommendations, right? Yes, we want to record that vote. Okay, so request for a recorded vote on moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? Councillor Cheng, Councillor Carroll, Councillor Robinson, and Councillor Pasternak. I didn't see, no, the problem was I didn't see Councillor, no, you're wondering why I was staring. I didn't get Councillor Cole's vote on a recorded vote.
I'm opposed to staff recommendation.
Okay. All right. Those opposed? Councillor Cole and Councillor Burnside. Okay. Okay, that item is done. Councillor, item 16, 1 Simeon Court application for fence exemption. I do have a deputant, Yamesh Yashatharan. Yes, Hamesh?
Yep, speaking. Thank you, Council, for letting me talk. My name is Hamish Dasatharan. I am the property owner of 1 Simeon Court. I've sent a letter, which is probably going to be more eloquent than I can talking, so hopefully you have access to it. If not, I will just try and paraphrase what my letter essentially states. We bought this property maybe like 2 years ago, maybe actually last year. And the primary reason why we bought this property was because it had an amazing pool in the backyard that we would love to use. I have a young son and another one just born recently. So my apologies for not being there in person. Upon taking possession of the property, we wanted to install a pool fence for the safety of our family. Unfortunately, the pool itself is quite close to our house, as you can probably see in the pictures. We tried to the best of our ability to place a pool fence, place a fence that surrounds the pool. However, at the side of the house, between the house and the pool, there's only like a couple feet of like separation distance, and you need like around 3 feet of walkway between any two sides for it to be an adequate walkway without feeling cramped. So because of that, as you can sort of see in the pictures, we try to like give as much space as possible, but there is one post that is close to that violates the bylaw, and that post is because the pool is not like a rectangle shape. It has like a bit of a curve near the stairs to go into the pool. We have replaced our fencing, our exterior fencing, with self-latching gates to try and, give another layer of protection. But yeah, there's really no good way of conforming to the bylaw given the existing state. We try to the best of our abilities, and if we were to try and conform, we'd either create a walkway less than 3 feet or impede the door. I believe you can see a door. That door goes to the garage. We'd either impede that door movement in and out of the garage through that exterior door. So my request would be to get an exemption for the pool fence. Any questions?
Yeah, no, I do apologize for that. Thank you very much for your deputation. We were just huddling over your comments and the staff report. Any questions for the deputant? Okay, thank you very much for your deputation. Questions to staff? Speakers? Councillor Carroll?
Yes, and I don't know if he's still on the line. I wanted to thank him, Ash. I don't know if he's still there. I will send him a note just in case he has disconnected. But I do want to thank him, Ash, and his wife for doing their level best to accommodate. As you've heard, he told the story very well. This is a situation where the pool already existed when they bought the house. They themselves had all the same instincts that our policy has, which is that all pools should be fenced, and just locking the back door is not a fence. It does not entirely safeguard kids, as I can painfully tell you, due to my own loss and my own family. But this is a real fence. And what happened here is they familiarized themselves with the bylaw, and they went out of their way to try and, if you look at the pictures, you'll see that the fence, where there are openings from the home, the fence notches out and does begin to achieve the distance it needs to achieve. So that you can't, a little one couldn't come out the door and from the steps, take a jump at that fence and climb over it. And you'd be surprised what a 5-year-old will try to do to get into a swimming pool. But they actually accommodated the bylaw there to make that happen. That is above and beyond. This whole story is above and beyond what we see so often, where people come and say, well, I've just locked the door and I promise you it'll stay locked. And we wince, not knowing if that's going to be the case or if that lock's going to be removed after they get their permission. That's not what's going on here. This is an awkward build in existence upon purchase that they then went out of their way to try and accommodate. And that's the reason. They want to drown-proof their own children. And that, for us as councillors, drown-proofs all future children that might own this property. And so on this rare occasion, I'm going to ask that we move recommendation number 2 and grant the application. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Any other speakers on the item? I will just briefly say that I was supporting the local councillor. I've taken a close look at the staff report and the pictures here. I think this is a responsible homeowner with what I would deem to be a pretty secure zone around their pool, doing everything possible to conform. And I think it's a reasonable option to support option number 2, which is granting the application for an exemption. Any other speakers? No? Okay, Councillor Carroll has moved option number 2, recommendation number 2, granting application for exemption. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. As far as I can tell, we're done our business for today. We just have the confirmatory bills, which are on the screen. Councillor Cheng, do you want to have the honor? Just read what's on the screen, and then we'll move it.
That bill 87 to 91, prepared for the January 25th, 2023 meeting 2 of the North York Community Council, be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006.
All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. One more. Councillor Burnside, you look like you're looking for something to do. Would you please read the motion on the screen so we can take our skidoos and go home? Great, thank you very much, Councillor Burnside. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much, clerks, city staff, councillors from North York, and of course members of the public for participating. We are adjourned. Have a safe journey home, and we'll be in touch.